Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I'm Jennings Bernard, your host. As always, you can catch me right here each and every day, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 6 p.m. You tell a friend to tell a friend that Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil is on the air. You know what we do here. We talk business, legal, social, finance, whatever affects you. But most, we talk about politics. Politics is everything, and everything is politics. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We got a lot for you as we are continuing to grow by way of this program on Facebook Live as well as on MemphisRealTalk.com. And that's right, MemphisRealTalk.com. You can go over there and see shows that we have already done and shows that you have missed, as well as on Facebook. Well, while you're on Facebook, you know what I ask you to do is to subscribe to this program. And you'll be glad you did, because along with that, you go over to MemphisRealTalk.com. That is the website and where we are building things that will affect you in this community. Knowledge is everything. Everything is knowledge. And once you get the knowledge and the understanding, uh, they say when you know better, you're supposed to do better. But in Memphis, sometimes we don't do better, even when we know better. Can I get an amen to that? Because if I do, as we did, we wouldn't be in this situation as always. I open up with that because it is so true. Again, when you're over there at MemphisRealTalk.com. Memphis Real Talk is one word, then .com, and it'll take you directly to the website. And then you can look at the website and the various buttons at the top of the page that you can click on. You get a letter from me or conversation from me from my desk on the Facebook, the website, excuse me. And you can hear what I got on my mind, the things that I think that need to change within this city. All I can do is tell you it's up to you. They often say you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And the bottom line, you can give the knowledge, you can give the understanding, you can tell the people that uh, I often used to hear what good for the goose is good for the gander. But sometimes in Memphis, it's just what good for the goose, because you as the gander don't want to do better. Sometimes you make me believe that, because when you sit back and look at what's happening to your community and you don't do anything about it, you don't contact the people that need to be contacted, from City Hall to County Commission, and those individuals who just sit back and make decisions without even caring one thing about you. And that is so true. And we are definitely uh, appreciate it. My wife just struck this in and said that I need to be a little louder. And if you can hear me, please tell me you can hear me. If I need to turn the speakers up just a little louder, so make sure that you get all of this information, then hey, I will definitely do that. But we want you to have all the information to come in this way. There's a lot more to come, a lot more individuals that is dropping the ball on your behalf. We're going to continue to talk about that. We'll go back to the school board. We'll go back to county commission, state house, state representative, state senator. All of them have a job to do. Some are lacking on the job, and others are standing up uh, to say, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to try to get passed while we are in Nashville. Well, Brother Harris, who's a representative, uh, said that he would like to get a recall passed. What is your opinion on that? You know what you can do. You can let me know by texting me uh, on my comment page here. I get that all set up for you, so you can feel free to do that, because it's important. I'd like to hear from you. the people who hear you, see you, and that you're listening, they would like to hear as well as what's going on in your world. So we're providing all of this stuff simply for you. And you know me, I'm the type of person that I want to keep you informed on what is going on in this community. And we have a job for each other to keep each other informed. I remember that when we were a neighborhood and we was not, as they say, the hood. When we are a neighborhood, then there's a whole different job. There's a whole different communication in our neighborhood that we keep people informed. But sometimes we just lack, as well as our elected officials, are liking to you. Well, there's some things that we want to bring to you as well. Uh, thus, there will be a Memphis Light Gas and Water meeting this Friday from 12, from 1, I mean, correction, from 10 to 12. If you got some concern about the Memphis Light Gas and Water, you can go down to the City Hall in their council chamber. They will be meeting in regard to the Memphis Light Gas and Water. I know not all of you have concern about the Memphis Light Gas and Water. Uh, they got a budget that they're going to be asking to be approved and talk about that from the chairman of the Memphis Light Gas and Water. And you go down there, don't be surprised that you got some of the same folks who used to be on the school board, that used to be on the city council, that are now on the board. You know what I say it all the time? They keep warming up old politicians like you warm up old soup. And if you stoop, you eat it for so long, then you get sick of it. Politicians are no different, especially when they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. Why do you keep serving yourself? The same old politicians that are not doing anything as a school board member, as a city council person, and now sitting on the Memphis Light Gas and Water Board. We're going to talk that. We're going to be featuring these people, in my opinion, that is not worthy, as they used to say, the salt that go on their bread. Not worthy as what the little bird left on the limb. But yet we keep voting them in over and over again. But if you want to attend down at that meeting and find out what is this going on in regard to the $200 million for tree trimming and other things, and the record still shows that some money is missing. Until you take charge, like the people again, I take my hat off to the people of New Chicago. New Chicago set an example for the Black community and the community as a whole to follow. They stood up and said to the elected officials, you come on with that mess. You bring that new jail over here, and you see what we're going to do for you and to you. That seat that you sit in, you won't be sitting in it very long if you bring that jail over to New Chicago, where the old Firestone plant it used to be. And I used to pass that every day, going from my home, sometime that direction, or going through Fraser to get to International Harvester. When I got out of service, I worked at Cleo Rap and then moved on from Cleo Rap to International Harvester, along with Firestone, Humpco, Bruce Lumber Company, all down that area. There were some prominent businesses, but somehow the leadership, they falter and then they fail as it relates to keeping those type of businesses afloat. We lost Harvester, we lost Holiday Inn from the headquarters under Kenneth Wilson, who started the Holiday Inn right here in Memphis, Tennessee. But the poor leadership allowed Atlanta to come in and snatch up Holiday Inn, and the headquarters is still now in uh, Atlanta, Georgia. We lost International Harvester. Harvester in Milwaukee stayed afloat. In the other areas are still afloat, and they paid good money, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. I bought my first car when I worked at International Harvester. And I'm gonna just take you back for a moment. A loaf of bread was 16 cents. And some of you people don't remember that, but if you remember, just tap on the comments. I remember. Uh, loaf of bread, long loaf, was 20 something cents, 22. A long loaf of bread, which costs you $3 or $4 now, as opposed to back then 22 cents, 25 cents. Short loaf, as we used to call it, was like 16 cents. A gallon of gas back then was like 22 cents, 26 cents a gallon. But understand, I've always said, no matter what it took to bake a loaf of bread, it still takes that today. Why is it $3 or $4 for a loaf of bread when it was 16 cents or 22 cents back in 1974, 72? Well, I bought my first car from a place called Pryor Oldsmobile. Some of you may remember uh, Labonna Children's Hospital is right across from it. If I no, that's the next street. I stand corrected. Uh, it was on Pryor Old was on Poplar near Manassas, and paid $3,900 for a Oldsmobile now that will cost you close to 100,000, 60 or $70,000. What has changed? Uh, I'll tell you what has changed, and you need to pay attention. What has changed is the greed and the high cost, whether it be steel to make a car, somebody wanted more money, whether it be uh, egg, milk, sugar, or whatever it takes to make a loaf of bread. Somebody wanted more money. So my point is that if you could do those things in 1972 and 74 for that amount of money, what is the difference? Because the same ingredients back then to make a loaf of bread is the same ingredients now to make a loaf of bread. So it comes down to the greed. And they said United States is a capitalistic society. Capitalistic society for the small business as well as the large business. But the large business who take things out of this country go over and pay $1.25 for a shirt and then come back to America with those products and then they sell it to you for 20 or $30. Somebody built a Gucci bag for a little nothing in a slave factory and come back over here and tell you, hey, you got a Gucci bag. It's $4,000 or $5,000 and you fall for the okey doke. We're gonna have to wake up and understand that you are being taken advantage of as American based on the capitalistic society. Well, money, people make money. I understand that. But when you make money, when you get a profit and make money from someone in a slave factory with barely making $100 a year, but then they come and bring it back to you with this product and say, hey, this is what you got to pay. And you pay it because you think you're styling and profiling because you got a Gucci bag on your arm and you got all of these other name brand things, but you're being hooked, you're being bamboozled and ran amok out of your pocket. But you think you're styling and profiling. You know, a suit is a suit, whether you pay 10,000 for a suit or whether you pay $50 for a suit. It's gonna cover you by way of your waist, pants, and coat. And a lot of people say, hey, well, we want to get a better suit because it looks better. Understand something, and men, you got to realize you can take $100 suit, get a nice shirt, get a nice tie, and you wear it, you look just as good or better than someone who got a $3,000 suit on. It's about coordinating. know what tie, what shirt to put on with a expensive suit as well as a cheap suit. It's all about how you style and profile, how you carry yourself in a cheap suit that look like you in a $3,000 suit, or you look like you are in a $3,000 suit, look like you in a $50 suit because you haven't put the coordinates. You don't wear the suit. That though a suit that you paid $100 for can look like you paid 3,000. But it's all a mind game. It's all playing on words, playing on situation, and we fall for all of that. I just want to throw that at you, make you think about it, but then go and subscribe down at the bottom of this video. And then when you subscribe here, go over and tell your friends to do that. So go over to uh, MemphisRealTalk.com and hit the donation button at the bottom to help us do what we are doing for you. And we do appreciate you uh, in regard to that. No matter how small or how large, and the number of people we have viewing this program, it could really put us in the right direction to continue to do what we're doing. The things that we are doing, and I shared with you on yesterday, the ability just a 3 months ago that we couldn't do. But the team that I'm working with now, being able, when I talk to you about Paul Young, I can throw a picture. When I talk to you about Gail Jones Carson, her crooked son, I can throw that up there and show it to you, as well as Lee Harris, the nothing, as I call him, County Mayor Lee Harris, and others telling him to stop acting like a woman when he's on television, and everybody was picking that up. And the man just said what everybody else is thinking. And I'll say it to you, I'm one of the ones that was thinking the same thing. Whenever I see him on TV, I think about that. But I'm gonna leave them alone for today. We just gonna talk about things that we need to know about. And I'm gonna get on it right now. What we need to know about, and this is what I want you to do, and I'm gonna ask you first. Are you a registered voter? Secondly, have you ever tried to see if you can get your rights restored if they're gone and taken away from you after 5 years that you haven't committed a crime from the crime that you did commit? Well, that's an opportunity. After 5 years, you can apply to get your rights restored. But to me, it bothers me to hear people say, when you talk to them, I can't vote. And you say, my brother, why can't you? My sister, why can't you vote? Well, I'm a convicted felon. How long have you been a convicted felon? Oh, I've been a convicted felon for 10 years. And I said, you never tried to get your rights restored? No, I don't care nothing about it because they're going to do what they want to do. I want you to get out of that mindset that they're going to do what they want to do. If they are doing what they want to do, you have the opportunity to take them out of this situation. But you can only do it if you are a registered voter. And I want you to become that because it's important that you become a registered voter. We need this. We're coming up with the mid-year conference, election rather, and as it relates to that mid-year election coming, you see the results that have happened when it came down to the Democrats. And, I could say the Democrats are no better than the Republicans. The only somebody that I have a lot of confidence in would be the independent, because you see independents being persuaded to come over to the Republicans and to the Democrats. That because people, a whole lot of people have decided this. This two-party system that we have is just not working for us. We need a third-party system, and people talk about the independent system. And if we became more independent, uh, and the Democrats and the Republicans would need you, then you would be in control. There are enough people right now that have not voted or have the right to vote, that if they decided to get their rights restored, or if they decided to vote independent, then the independent would be more stronger than the Republican or the Democrat. But they don't want you to do that. They got you hooked with bamboozled, and they run amok over you because every election day you're gonna hear from both parties. They're gonna come to you and they're gonna persuade you that we gonna do that. It's almost like they vote for me and I'll set you free. Well, when are you gonna be set free economically? When are you gonna be set free when it comes to your community? That you are paying the taxes on to make sure your streets are paved and you got potholes that look like swimming pools. You got potholes that will take the front end off of your car and you're not noticeable, especially at night. I've hit a couple of potholes driving along the street and I'm thinking, I didn't see ahead of me. But when I saw it, it was too late. And bam, I thought my front end was torn. But you paid for that. You paid for that to be filled and taken care of. But they come up with every other reason that we got to take from Peter to pay Paul because we had a shortfall. Well, it's not our problem that you have a shortfall. You went before the proper authority, which is the county commission. You submitted your budget and you told them that I can run this city for a year based on this budget. But we always end up with a deficit. What happened? How much money is missing? If we ever needed a forensic audit, we need that in city government. I'm talking about real, I'm talking about a federal uh, forensic audit where they got people, that's all they do is study all day long, counters from the FBI. That's their job to sit back and analyze it. You submit your paperwork to them and they'll tell you whether you have a deficit and they can tell you the question to ask, where did this money go? That's still $77.7 million missing in the deficit from the previous administration. That's still there, haven't been answered, have not been answered. Where is the money? Again, we go to the transit authority. Where is the money? I have to commend Channel 3 for an in-depth report that they did in relation to the spending, the careless spending of taxpayers' dollars. I don't understand at all when we put people in position and you give them the credit card to have to take care of the business, all of a sudden they believe that that's their credit card and they can do at will what they want to do. And that to me is theft. To me, that is fraud. But why is it that those individuals just walk away with a strap on their hand? Nobody from the Attorney General's office, no one has admitted that these were some criminal acts by individuals in the mayor's office or at the transit authority. What happened to them? We know a lot of spending went on that wasn't authorized. So what is that? That is stealing. That is taking money that you did not have the right to spend and you not held accountable. That's why everybody want to get the power of an elected official because they can do pretty much what they want to do because they know that you're not going to hold their feet to the fire, nor are you going to hold them accountable. And I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep talking about it. You can keep getting angry at me and putting comments down, all mind your business. Wait a minute. Are you telling me to mind my business when I'm trying to tell you your business and what you need to be about, and that is business? Keep telling me, but I'm gonna keep doing what I do. And that's the bottom line. Ain't nothing you can say or discredit me in regard to what I'm doing. I'm doing this because I care about this city. I grew up in this city, except the time when I was in the military. I've been in this city all my life. I have yet, from the age of 18 to the age of 73, right now, never missed any kind of election when it came to voting in Memphis and Shelby County. Never. I made sure that I took care of what I needed to do when the election time came. Whether I was out of town, I was always back in town to cast my vote. So I was instilled, told, this is the way you do things by my mother's father and grandmother, who instilled in me and I instilled in mine that too many people made ultimate sacrifices for you to have this right to vote. And young people, you don't understand it. You need to learn your history. Because if you fail to learn your history, it will repeat itself again. What are we doing now? We are still struggling and asking for better accommodation as it relates to economics in our community that Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and Jesse Jackson and others fought for over 50 or more years. Here we are asking Target to do the right thing. Why has it taken this long for us to stand up, speak up, and draw attention to the plight of the African American community? Everybody else seems to be doing okay. But why is it always everything negative is placed on the Black community? When you talk about SNAP, when you talk about at that point food stamps, everybody else is getting food stamps, but they say it's about the Black people. Are we feeding Black folks? But not only are you feeding those who are less fortunate that's Black, you're feeding the majority. And I told you, there are more white people that are on SNAP than there are Black people. But why do Black people always end up on the bottom of the totem pole as it relates to them saying, we are feeding Black folks? You see video on Facebook and other genres that saying, well, I don't want to feed you. Well, you feed yourself as well. If you get SNAP, now you're so prejudiced that you think your tax dollars are going strictly to Black folks. And I'm telling you, you're lying. And the truth is not in you. You need to look at it. But Black folks can cripple this economy if you actually work together. You keep your money in pocket. We are per capita. We spend more money than any other race when it comes down to knowing economics. Uh, they say that the Black dollar comes to our hands and immediately go out to the merchants and other individual hands. Other races have their money certainly 3 and 4 times within their own community. But they say Black people, just time they get it, they spend it. And that's one of the reasons that they think that we are out here with our hands out. Because they know that they can come into business in the Black community, open up a restaurant, open up businesses, and we are catered to. And the problem that really has bothered me for years is the fact that somehow we still, and you may not understand it, young people, but I'm going to tell you something. They used to say years ago when I was growing up, out in the Douglas community, we took care of each other. We had a cleaners, we had laundries, we had stores that were Black owned. But Oriental man came out there and opened up, and that store is still standing today at Chelsea and Walker. It's a yellow building. If you out there, it used to be a Chinese store, they still run it. And they stayed for over 60 years in that community. But then all of a sudden, the mindset of Black folk believe that Mr. Wong or whoever it was, his beard was colder than the black man's beard that he had been getting from for years. Mr. Wong's water was colder on a hot day. Where you going? I'm going up to the Chinese store. Well, you gonna pass 5 stores on your way to the Chinese store. But it's the mentality that we have been embedded into our brain that we think that we have to do this to please others. What happened to pleasing each other in your own community as opposed to trying to go into other businesses and please them? You know, we talk about Rosewood. We talk about what they established before they were burnt out, mistreated, because the dollars were being kept within the black community. There's so many different in different states where black people back in the day had prominent businesses. But then when they were not circulating that money into the white community, what did the white community do? They rode at night, burned up those businesses, burned down the town because they was no longer getting the black dollar. So you got to understand your money is powerful. If you understand to keep your money circulating within your own community, then no one can put your name on the fact that you are the majority of the ones that's being fed by SNAP. Because right now they're doing it because they know that you're not keeping your money in your pocket or in the bank. You're spending it fast as you get it. And this is what I'm doing right here. And this is what I will continue to do, and that is to bring the information to you that you need to know. And be ye one who like what I'm doing and not liking what I'm doing, so be it. Because I'm gonna be who I am. I am who I am. And that's Jennings Bernard. I've been that way all of my life, as long as I can remember. We used to play a game out in Douglas called King of the Hill. And as you ran up on a hill of dirt, we threw each other off to say, I'm king of the hill. We did that. And guess who fought hard every time we played the game to stand on the top of the heap and raise my hand up and say, I'm king of the hill. I will never surrender my mindset of being king of the hill. What I'm doing in one way, you think you stop me one way, but I figure out another way to come at you with the knowledge and the understanding. And for those who think that you did something and got away with it, you haven't got away with it because I'm going to do my duty to make sure you know that you haven't gotten away with it. But then someone powerful and greater than I am, that my grandmother used to say, what goes around, come around. Says that whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. And then, you know, those older people have so much wisdom and knowledge to say that you need to ask for knowledge, wisdom, and a better understanding. And if you get those things, and I remember a preacher used to tell me a long time ago as a young preacher, when you pray, preacher, pray for wisdom, knowledge, and a better understanding. Now, you pray for that. And when God gives it to you, you're going to be very wise and you're going to be very powerful. And I pray constantly when my feet hit the floor in the morning. I thank Him for waking me up. But I always say, God, give me wisdom, knowledge, and a better understanding. And when I used to go into the pulpit and I kneel down before I said anything to the congregation, I used to say, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. And Dr. H. Ralph Jackson the late presiding elder in the AME church, used to have a creed, and I've said this creed from time to time. I'm saying it again today to kind of give a little knowledge to that creed. And I said, I got it right over there on my wall. My secretary, who heard me say it while we were working, and little did I know, she went to a trophy place. She jotted those words down. Her name was Sonia Howard, who used to work for me. And she went and got those and put those words, these words, on that plaque that I long remember, and it keeps me going. In the morning when I get up, at night when I go to bed. There's two creeds that I've learned over the years. And one is there is but one power in my life, God. Fear, loneliness, eternal death are out of my life. For so is a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I will think success. I will act successful. And if it be by God's grace, I will be a success. There is but one power in my life, God. And I say that in the morning. I say it at night before I go to bed. And the other one is, I saw God watch the world last night with showers from on high. And then when morning came, he hung them out to dry. He washed each tiny blade of grass and every trembling tree. He dashed his waters against the hill. He swept the billowing sea. The white rose was a cleaner white. The red rose was more red. He washed each fragrant face and put them all to bed. Every bird and every bee had winged along the way was a cleaner bird and cleaner bee than he was yesterday. I saw God watch the world last night, and oh, if he would just watch me of all of my dirt and my filth and my ground, as did he that old white birch tree. I said those things that I just said to you every day for from when I was started pastor back in '74. I said those things and I stand, and God has not failed me. No matter what you attempt to do to me, or what you think you make me look embarrassing or fooling, you always say, oh, but no, you didn't get the 89 votes. Well, I didn't fail. I didn't lose. You lost. Because look at what you got to deal with. None of them with any experience. None of them have fought on the battlefield of knowledge. They haven't gone to the University of Hard Knocks. What my grandmother used to say, you take a little bit of something and do a whole lot with it. And we got a whole lot, and we can't do a little bit with it. That's knowledge that they understood. When you would say, hey, what are we gonna do or what is it? She said, don't worry about that, baby. You gonna always have something. And I remember somebody, I'm gonna take somebody back. You remember when they said buttermilk and cornbread? And I used to love that cornbread when it came hot out of the oven and the crust around the cornbread. Everybody wanted to crust it. And my grandmother, big mother, would cut that crust. She gave me an extra piece of that crust. You stick it in that buttermilk and cornbread. And just think about it. When there was nothing else to eat, you would eat buttermilk and cornbread. There wasn't no welfare state. You could eat buttermilk and cornbread and was full as a tick. You didn't know that your situation was different from others, but you had that make it up type of thing. She used to take a turkey, a Christmas turkey. And when the turkey was left over, we would have turkey sandwich, turkey soup. She could scratch that thing. And all of that is about the University of Hard Knocks, knowing what to do, how to do it, to take care of your family. Some of you right now not trying to learn the basic skill, not how to lay a towel in the bathroom, knowing how to be a carpenter, to be a house, uh, to be a plumber. You know, you think they're not millionaire plumbers? They're not millionaire carpenters? They're not millionaire construction owners? But you think that you always got to have a suit on to make it. When they get hot, who's the first person that you call when your air conditioner goes? You call someone that knows about the air conditioner. You call some plumber when the pipes freeze over during the winter. As a matter of fact, when they drop it in cold, and the old people say, "Look, let that tap water run just a little bit to keep those pipes from freezing." You hear the weatherman say the same thing. That's what they did. That's how they survived back in the day. And I pray and I wonder about the generation now, the get quick generation, the generation who are out here making serious money, the athletes who are making serious money from the time that we did when we played football. When you're getting a $250 million contract. And for whatever reason, I've been told, so I'm spending a lot of money because of the tax break. But to me, when you go and pay, because you can pay $500,000 for a G-Wagon, then something is terribly wrong with that picture. And you see the rappers that are making money and throwing it away and not taking their money, putting it in a place where later on down the line, you're not going to be rapping when you're standing there 80 years old. But what you do now will last for you as a community and the basics in that community. And that is put the power back where it's supposed to be, and that is with you. If you just do that, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't have a problem. So I'm urging you, I'm calling upon all of you. If you're not a registered voter and you have never voted, I don't care whether you become a Democrat, Republican, or independent. All I want you to do is to vote and make your vote count. You can look at and see the seriousness of where we are right now economically in our country. The problem that we have from my house to your house to the White House and to all other houses inconvenient, from the county commission to the city council to the state house. We are all suffering from the same neglect of the people. And the same people that we put in them supposed to be for us. And why are we suffering? Why are we going through a shutdown on both sides that can't sit down at the table of brotherhood, sisterhood, and say, we don't need to be away from Washington for 4 months. We need to be working every day to make sure that the American people are secure, that nobody goes hungry in America, because we are a prosperous country. We give money to many other countries to feed those countries. But I say to you, charity begins at home before it spreads abroad. Take care of your home before you go taking care of someone else's house. And I understand the politics of it. You take care of someone else, or other country or continent, you take care of them, and then they become your ally in your time of need. I understand that. But to me, it's better to start off taking care of the business at home. And when we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we become a better country. We become better neighbors. We become better friends. We become better co-workers all around. But somehow there is a togetherness thing. But there is a divider who keep us divided. And people make money off of us being divided. We got to wake up. We got to wake up and make a difference for ourselves and for our family and for our country and for our community. I'm Jennings Bernard. You've been listening to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I really do. I really do appreciate you. And we hope and pray that all is well with you. If in the words of my grandmother, she always said, if it's the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, we'll see you on Friday. But remember what I said. Trust everyone, but do not trust the devil inside of you. Peace. You all take care of yourself until we sit down and do this again as always. I really do appreciate you. You take care of yourself.